but I don't know. I think they have like a couple locations, but they're just,
Okay.
as long as the food's good. I mean, the drinks are already going to be free no matter where you go, so that's all good.
Yeah.
But as long as the food is somewhat good, and this place was really good, because it was like all authentic. These guys were just pounding out the jerk chicken right at the beach, and they had all like the spicy sauce on it. I was loving it.
Yeah, Montego Bay is actually on our to-do list. We were going to do that this year. Were we doing Jamaica this year? COVID stopped everything. I don't know.
I know Grand Palladium though. It's a very, I don't like to spend a lot of money, so it was very affordable, and I think it was like for a week. I think it was like $2,000 for both of us, and it's all you can eat, all you can drink. And that's including flights and everything. So
that's a good one. We have to. Well, she look into that. I'm
big fan of Grand Palladium, Montego Bay.
Grand Palladium.
Shout out Grand Palladium.
And Grand Palladium, yeah, we're gonna look into it. Take a look at that, because as soon as we're able, we're gonna start traveling again.
Good.
I mean, yeah, we got a bunch in last year, but it just didn't happen this year.
Yeah, well, no one's going anywhere right now.
Yeah, just didn't happen. Then they were trying to do a cruise, and I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not getting on a boat for like a couple years. It's not happening. Dude, I need to be on a piece of land. It's not happening. What are we doing, Earl?
We're almost live on YouTube. It just makes me go through all these little freaking steps, but it's all good. I think it's going live now. We're going live now. Okay. All right. Post-production is done. We can have some fun. All right. All right. Our little theme music here. Until you guys give me a better record, we're stuck with this.
Oh, I thought that was Marty's request right there, the Migos.
Marty never gave me a request.
Nah, it was.
Migos.
Yeah. I'm the fourth member.
Of the Migos.
All right. Hey, YouTube and Facebook family, we are tapping in live right now. Super excited. We're going into our fourth installment of Wealth Thru Wholesale. I am your lead host, Earl McCrae. I have Kivo, Ambrose, and our guest person in the hot seat, Marty. How do I pronounce your last name, brother? I want to say it right.
Grizzanti.
Grizzanti. Okay. And our goal here in the next 20 minutes, 35 minutes, because Marty's got to tap out for a meeting at the top of the hour, is we want to get to know a little bit more about upstate home buyers, how your company kind of came to be. And, we want to share with the folks out there in the world, what your journey was like coming into, this real estate industry. So with that being said, guys, let's have some fun. All right.
Yeah.
I get the first shot of questions. So, my friend Marty, tell us a little bit about, your background growing up and how you eventually got into real estate.
So, and again, thanks Earl, Ambrose, and Kivo for having me on. I love that you guys are doing this. This is really cool. It's a great way to learn. It's podcasting and these kind of things are awesome obviously for you guys to just get your name out there, but it's also a really, really cool way to learn. It's like kind of like your own like cheat code. Like, I get to talk to people that I probably never usually get to talk to. I mean, not me, but like, let's say some other big guys, you can do that because bigger guys, they like to talk about themselves, right? So it's a nice way to get people on and kind of get them to share maybe some insider tips. But
Marty, small guys know big tricks. So
yeah. Oh yeah. Yes, they do. Yeah. No. So, but no, really kudos to you guys for doing this. Really, really cool. How I got started was I was, graduating from college, I went and started working in sales at CGI Communications. And I wasn't very good, but I could outwork anybody, right? So I was finding myself like people that were in the top 5 always when I start, like when I first started, basically the CEO goes, you know, look at the point, like we're all new people there, right? I mean, I was making 20 grand, you know, I was brand new sales associate. And this is just straight up cold calling, right? You know, those jobs where you're just cold calling. Okay. And he pointed at one of the vice presidents and he goes, you know, this guy makes 100 grand. And I couldn't fathom 100 grand. Couldn't fathom what 100 grand would be. And, you know, just fast forward to, if you just put your head down in like the suck, right? If you can just enjoy the suck of the cold calling and know that people are not doing it, and know that if you just do the stuff that nobody wants to do, you start to all of a sudden with your head down and you're just working, you start just moving ahead of people. That when you look on paper, you go, man, this guy's got it all, like this, that, he's got the car, he's got the stuff, you know, he's got to be awesome. And maybe they are, maybe they're better, maybe they have a better sales technique than you. But if you can just outwork, you're going to set yourself up, right? So I didn't know what I wanted to do. I just knew I wanted to be successful. And I wanted to know, like, they go, all right, here's the key. You make $100, you're going to be somewhat successful. I go, all right, well, I'll do $400. So that's what I did. And that led me to being in the top 5, you know, doing 6 figures. You know, that was the second year. First year, I think I did like 60, 70, and then boom, 100, and then, you know, and more, and keep going. Why I say that though is because as you're making money, you start to learn, like, what do I want to do with this money, right? At the time, I was just blowing it, right? I was going out, bars, buying everybody a drink, you know, just wild. But you finally figure out, like, hey, what are the smart people doing with their money? So I started researching that, started understanding, like, maxing out my IRA, maxing out 401k, doing the right things, having a 6-month emergency set up, you know, making sure I had enough money for that, you know, and then the last thing on that list really is real estate. And, you know, it's just started just crushing learning, bigger pockets, every podcast, as I'm driving, do my appointments, doing my, you know, outside sales stuff, learning. And then, you know, the rest is kind of history and how I started there. Long story short, I could keep going.
No, Marty, I'm sorry about that. A call was coming in and I didn't know.
No, you're good.
Yeah.
I know I talk a lot. I kind of like go off on tangents. So you got to bring me in. You got to reel me in.
No, not at all. But I wanted to kind of, for our listening audience, guys, I wanted you to kind of drill into one of the things he said. He got feedback on how many calls he needed to make. And then when he knew what that number is, he didn't shoot for that number. He doubled that number. I mean, and that literally is one of those success traits that everyone that we've talked to has kind of talked about, that whatever the average guy is doing, double that effort. Because just in doubling that effort, you're going to take your timeline for reaching your goal and you're going to condense the timeline. So that was just really, that was amazing that you hit on to that. So for me, Marty, did you have a mentor or someone in your background that kind of guided you towards this path for real estate?
Correct. Yeah. So these are called unfair advantages, right? So you try to find an unfair advantage that you have. My wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, her brother was a property manager. And, you know, I'm like, real estate, man, real estate. Like, I'm hearing these people in bigger pockets. Cause, you know, yeah, I was making good money, but I wasn't happy. You know, it was a miserable, you know, you're making all these calls and it doesn't end. Like every month, like it's commission, right? So it's every month starts over, you're back at zero, right? So it's a constant going back to zero. And, you know, at a certain time, you start to go, like, what can I do so that when I wake up, I'm at 50? You know, I'm at, you know, let's say it's from 0 to 100. Like, where can I go where I'm waking up and there's actually some momentum, not zero, right? So passive real estate or rentals was something that really caught my attention. And, you know, him being a property manager, that's what he did. You know, he's managing rental properties. So I started to really pick his brain on that. And the first property that came our way was one that was owned by American Tax Funding, which if you're not familiar with American tax funding, this was something that the city used to do, is when if someone wasn't paying their taxes, and if it didn't sell at the auction for whatever reason at the city auctions, American tax funding would buy these liens. So then you, depending on, you know, if you just like kind of dig in and kind of figure out with the city, you know, where do these go? Where do these go? Well, they go to American tax funding, and then sometimes American tax funding would hold them and maybe sell them to like a group of buyers, like a hedge fund that just buys multiple properties at one time. So you just get, anyway, there was a one-off property on a really nice street, in my opinion, on Curlew Street. And, you know, we basically, they're like, yeah, it's, you know, 28,000. There's a renter in there that has been there for, you know, 10 years, and she pays like $900 a month. And I was like, wow, that's unbelievable. I mean, that's like, you know, all the rules, like you want to, you know, the 2% rule, right? So if you buy a house for 100,000, you want to get 2,000 in rent. So you know, that's the 2% rule. It's very hard to find, not really tough to find in Rochester, but extremely hard to find in other states. So as I'm learning from Bigger Pockets, all the rules and what you should be looking for, this came up, and we were just like, let's just jump at it. Let's go. He goes, yeah, you know, and then again, the unfair advantage was, this was a no-brainer. He goes, it's a no-brainer, right? Hearing that from somebody who manages 1,000 houses is a very helpful thing for a first-time guy. So we bought it, and this is a funny story, but basically, you know, we're going through the process of buying it. We haven't, you know, closed on it yet. And, you know, we're thinking, all right, 28,000, you could get a mortgage. It's like $200 a month, like whatever. It's nothing. The day before closing, my attorney for the first time, he's like, no, it's a cash deal. You need 28,000 cash. And I was like, oh crap, man. We were like, you know, all the things you don't want to do, which is doing a deal and then like backing out, that it crushes your reputation. We're like, we're going to do all the sins right in the beginning. You know, I'm going to make my brother-in-law look bad. I'm going to make, you know, I'm going to blow this deal with American tax funding, who's got other properties that they may want to sell me. All the things you don't want to do. And we basically I went to my partner, and this was all the money we had, him and me. I had like 20, I had like 18, he had 10. That was it. That was all the money we had. Because again, I was having a good time at the bars. So we did it. We basically just said, let's go. And that's how it happened.
That is freaking amazing. So your back was up against the wall, and you guys just pulled it out, and, you know, bet on yourself. I love it. All right, well, I'm going to tap out. I'm going to pass it over to Kivo.
Hey, Marty, again, I want to give thanks to you for your time. We know how valuable time is in this game of life.
Sure.
So I want to thank you again for that.
No problem.
I want to also, again, congratulate you on your marriage. We, you know, family first. When a lot of things that I've studied, we know that a why is very important. And
yeah.
Us being married guys, we know our why, you know, every night, every morning. So, you know what I'm saying? I already know what that's about. You spoke a little bit about just being able to outwork people and the hard work. I appreciate you putting that piece in, because I want to give that to whomever may be listening. Just if you can get up every morning and work harder, and not really comparing yourself to what the Joneses per se are doing, but what can you do and how can you outwork yourself? That is extremely important. So I appreciate that jewel that you dropped to our listeners. So I just wanted to ask you, in that journey, you spoke a little bit about the sacrificing of all your liquid funds, but what other sacrifices had you had to make to get to where you are? Like just offhand, like.
I say that's a great question. That's a really good question, actually, because, you know, you can get comfortable in anything, in any job, in anything like that. And what you can find yourself is, and this is unfortunately some people I know, you can find yourself kind of maxing out so that here's what you're living in and here's how much you're making. And you're constantly just trying to stay above wall. You know what I mean? Like just trying to just make it, right? And you don't have to do it that way. right? You can keep your expenses low and live way below your means. There's nothing wrong with that. It's what you should do, right? That's what you should be doing. So, again, I credit this to a lot of things, parents, freaking, I've had a lot of advantages. But one of the things that you got to realize, for what I had to realize kind of early on, is that I could have had the big house in, wherever, right? I could have, because I was making the money I was making, I could have had that, right? I could have had I could have had the cars, I could have had the houses, I could have, we could have started a family already, right? So I saw like kind of 10 years where I was, and I go, well, if I do that, I have to stay at my job then, right? And I got to stay grinding on the phone and doing something I don't necessarily love, right? Like, I love being successful, but I don't love working for somebody else to make them even more successful, right? So I live in an apartment, straight up, right now, right? So yeah, I own, my partner and I, about 40 rentals, right? But I live in a rental.
Right.
That's right there what you got to do. I don't have, we don't have much. We keep it chill. We keep it small, right? We enjoy our life, but I don't have like any of that shit that the expensive liability stuff. I have an old car. We live in an apartment. It's, it is what it is. So, but those are things I had to give up to do this. And I would do it again, because I know what it's going to look like. I know what this is going to look like later on, because I can just, when you're envisioning and you're imagining your life, and that's what you need to be doing constantly. I do this daily, is my visualization. I know what I'm doing, so that you live like they always say, right? You got to live like others won't, so you can live like others can't later on.
Yeah, definitely. So what I basically hear you saying is the sacrifices, the ultimate sacrifice of right now, currently, for what you're working towards, you and your wife, and what it's going to be.
Correct.
And that is a great point, because financial literacy is not something we learn in our school systems.
No.
Or growing up.
No.
So that's real deep. That's a really, really good point.
Well, the Pythagorean theorem, which is what really matters.
Yeah.
I'm a math teacher. Don't do it, brother.
Most importantly, pi. You know what I mean? Pi is 3 point whatever it is. You know that, but you don't know how to do your taxes.
Exactly.
That's problems, but we'll figure it out.
Hey, Marty, I'm loving the comment. Listen, we got about 25 people viewing this live. Hey, man, if you're getting any value from the content, give us a like, give us a share. Let us know that we're doing the right thing, and and help other people who are trying to get a little content so they can move into this wonderful world of being on the other side of a job. So I'm just gonna let you guys keep moving.
Right. Again, I appreciate that, Marty. I'm gonna pass it to Ambrose. He's eager to act something. He got something. I know it. So go ahead, Ambrose.
There it is. I had to unmute myself. Hey, Marty, how you doing, man?
Good, Ambrose. How are you?
Great, man. I'm happy that you're, able to share a little bit of knowledge. I know a lot of people really are in the field right now, and they really want to get started. Just been thinking about how to get started. So for my question is that, on the average, right, how many contract per deals do you get?
How many deals per month, kind of?
Yeah. How many deals?
Well, I was actually thinking about this. We're probably at around 3 to 5 deals per month that we're doing, and that's including like us buying stuff, right? So, probably wholesaling 1 to 2 a month, and then buying maybe 1 to 2 a month. Like, for instance, we're working on something. I know Earl wanted me to kind of give you some details on something. So we just got, and this was to come off a cold call. So cold call is what I'm telling you to do. Anyways, this came off a cold call, and we have under contract 10 townhouses in Brockport so when you look in the tax records, the assessment is like $67,000 per townhouse, right? But they're listed as 2 bedroom, 1 bath. When in reality, when we went and looked at them, they're 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath. Okay. So the seller, again, there's nothing if there's no motivation, right? They were older. They have partners that are 100 years old. So, you know what I mean? So motivation city right there. And, what we think is about $1.2 million, we got under contract for $675,000. Now this is 5 years down the road, right? This is when we didn't start. We started with a $28,000. How the hell are we going to do it? Right. But head down every day, push the ball a little bit. Right. And, those are the kind of things that are going to happen for you, but it's so hard though. There's a lot of things that are very, very tough, which is, the negative thoughts that come into our brain every time we wake up. And it's because we're looking at social media. It's because we're seeing what other people are doing. It's because, those things those can eat at you, right? So you got to put your blinders on and just try to look down and just, if you believe, and you got to really believe, and a lot of people, it's very tough, but you have to basically brainwash yourself into believing that you can do this. That's the only way. You have to brainwash yourself, because it's so hard to believe that you can do something when it's just never, it literally feels like it can't happen. So you just got to believe, and you got to just keep brainwashing yourself daily that it can. And then if you do that and you keep doing that, and then one day you wake up and it's kind of starting to happen for you, and that's how you get traction. And that's when you get confidence. And when you get the confidence is when you start to be able to believe more and more and more. And then people start buying in. The people that didn't believe are buying in. And those are how you start to get that ball rolling. But it's so, so very tough to start.
Thank you. I appreciate that, man. Self-motivation is definitely the key in this business, like you said. So for my next question is that, so if your deal falls through, right, what do you do with your dead deals? Do you give it to somebody else, or do you just let it go?
Dead deals, like what would that look like?
So dead deals, as in, you signed a contract, everything, and then you decided, it wasn't worth it. The price, the number was not matching. Do you basically just let go of the contract, or do you give it to somebody else that can work with that number?
Well, the way I do it is, if I'm putting under contract, I'm either going to buy it. So if worse comes to worse, I'm going to buy it. Right. Or I'm going to assign it. Right. I want to assign it, right, on some of them, but if worse comes to worse, I'm going to buy it, because we have creative financial strategies that, and when this could be its own show, this could be its own podcast, but where if there's not enough equity in the deal, we're going to buy it sub 2, which I'm sure you guys are probably familiar with that. Yeah. So we're going to, there's really no way we were not, you know what I mean? Unless it was just like, it doesn't happen. I guess what I should say, Ambrose, I don't really know. It doesn't happen very often that if we're going to be doing a deal and it's like just, it doesn't work out.
Right. We had some deals that didn't go through, and it's a headache, man. It's a feelings that you don't really want to go through, being that you put all your time, your energy into it, and then it just falls through.
Right. And that's one of the things with wholesaling, right? Because it kind of limits you with just like the one thing, right? You're kind of like that one, and again, and I get it, right? I think what's been helpful for me is that I started off buying rentals, right? So I kind of know the rental game, and then we started flipping, and then I went to wholesaling. I find it's very, very extremely difficult. So kudos to you guys if you can, for making it work, to start wholesaling and then go into something else. I find that extremely difficult because it's really more of a sales and marketing. It's really not it's really not like a real estate thing. It's real estate, but you're in sales and marketing. I'm in sales and marketing when I'm wholesaling. That's all I think about. I'm just in sales and marketing. So it's a really tough play to go from that into the other, in my opinion. Because when you go from the other side to that, you kind of know now, and you kind of, develop relationships, the buyers, I know what I want, and I know it gets done because there's the wholesaling guys online that are just crushing it, and that's all they do, and God bless them. But that tough thing kind of limits, you know, so if you can't find the buyer, it's like, well, that deal's dead.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that, man. I'm going to pass the ball to Irwin now.
Ambrose, thank you, man. That was a perfect segue to my next question. And really, it has to do around education, man. A lot of people kind of come into this game, and some of the education is kind of hands-on, kind of feel forward, where other people really do value investing in their knowledge base. You know, tell us about, you know, you talk about sub 2. Why don't you take a moment just to explain to our listening viewers what a sub 2 is, and how did you come to get your knowledge base?
Yeah, so sub 2, to answer your question, is when you're buying a property subject to the mortgage. So the mortgage is staying in the seller's name. So I'm going to buy the property from Kivo, okay? He will keep his mortgage and the interest and all those wonderful things in his name. And what I'm going to do, and there's a lot of ways to, you know, what the second part of the deal, which is you could either put a renter in there, you could sell it, seller finance, you know, there's a lot you can do once you have the property under contract, or, you know, when you bought it. But like in this, for an example, we have a duplex in the town of Greece that we're buying subject to. We believe it's worth, when it's all fixed up, $200,000. So it's 7-bedroom in the back, the one side of the plate and the duplex, and then the front, it's a 3-bedroom. So she owes about $140,000 on her mortgage, but again, it needs a lot of work. It needs probably about $30,000 to get it to $200,000 level. So we didn't want to buy it, and, you know, there was no wholesaling there. So, but, you know, the interest rate is really good. It's like at a 4.0. The payment's like $1,500 a month, and that's, you know, insurance, taxes, everything. And we believe, you know, it could be rented for, you know, $3,000. We think we get like $3,000 potentially on the property. So there's a lot there. So yeah, but to answer your question, mortgage stays in the seller's name. And essentially, you're just you're getting all the good and none of the bad, because it's still in their name. You just have to start making the payments once you close, right? So the investment is fixing the property up, and then you got to pay the mortgage. But once you get the place in a rentable condition and you get a renter in there, it should just be straight cash.
How'd you learn?
Oh, it's all YouTube.
What was the path that you took?
Yeah, you got to start with YouTube. And I mean, this probably took me like 4 years to really get. I mean, I was watching it, I was like, what the heck? How does that work? And how could somebody want to do that? And all these things, right? So it's so much YouTube. It's so much just watching and keep learning and keep learning. It takes me a long time to understand that stuff. So YouTube. And this year we hired a business coach that's what they do, is creative finance deals. So now doing that, you know, it's paid off, because we not only did we do our first sub 2, but we've also done our first, we're now going to be doing 2 seller finance deals. So that's how we really want to buy now, is just strictly seller finance. So it's been worth it. Mentorship and hiring a coach, if you can, is it's definitely got its substantial benefits.
Can you take us, Marty, through that process of how you selected a mentoring program and eventually a coach?
Yeah, you know, don't just jump at it, right? You know, get all a lot of guys give a lot of free stuff, you know. So the gentleman I use, Grant Kemp, Propelio, is they offer unbelievable free stuff on YouTube. So spending my time learning that, I mean, I spent months watching their videos. They have probably over 100 videos for free. So you kind of start to, like, you know, when you listen to a podcast, you kind of like think like you're a part of their group, even though they don't know who you are. So you kind of just start to like know the person, you know, their values, you know, that they're good people, you know, they're just, listen, my time's expensive. And if you want to learn from me, you got to pay. Like, I get it. You know, I would do the same thing. So yeah, I spent months and months, you know, basically what I learned from them in the months before is probably worth the amount of money I've spent to have them as a coach. right? So I'm kind of just paying them back.
I love it. I love it. So I'm going to actually pass it over to Kiva.
All right, so I know we were getting ready to wind up here again. You touched on belief in yourself, and you know, I just wanted to add to that. And again, you dropping so much liquid gold. I really appreciate it, because belief in our support system is like immeasurable in the importance of our success. I mean, I've heard it and know our viewers and everyone else heard it a million times. You're most likely to be similar to the 3 or 5 closest people around you. So again, I want everybody to take heed to what Marty said about that belief in self, and then just surround yourself with good people that support you and your idea. For me, it was luckily my wife. I told her I was walking off a good job with a good pension and great benefits for the city of Rochester. And she's like, do it.
Yeah, I love that. That's a great wife.
And I was just like, well, she has to deal with me every day. So she's with it. I'm doing it. And
God bless her.
I mean, yeah. And here I am. And it just is great to have that support.
Yes.
It helps you strive for it. Helps me. And then you spoke about the YouTube University thing. I am going to ask a question in relation to that in your learning, but I listen to Wholesaling Inc. and I do feel like they call it the tribe because they're rhinos, and I feel like I'm a part of the tribe, and I don't know anyone, and they don't know me, but I've listened to probably 200 episodes at least. I mean, so Wholesaling Inc. guys on podcasts. If you have iPhone, I don't know how to find it on Droid, but it's there. So in that, I wanted to ask you, outside of YouTube, just one quick book maybe that you've read or audible or something of the sort, just something, you know, hard that's people can maybe listen to in their car or read at nighttime or whatever, as far as like education in what it is we do, this real estate.
Yeah. So I think 2 books that really helped me a lot in my career, you know, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I don't know if I'm sure someone's already said that.
Absolutely. It's a cornerstone. It is what it is. It changes your thinking. Good one.
Yeah. A cash flow quadrant is a part of that I also really liked. I think a really great book for learning more, because again, wholesaling is sales and marketing. So the sales part, the sales techniques through Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss, I believe is he's really, really, really good book. And I only listen to them on tape. I'm kind of dyslexic, so I can't really read quite well. And I like to just listen to podcasts. So Bigger Pockets podcasts are just what I follow. Bigger Pockets podcasts. I listen to those, and you know, that's kind of like, that takes up a lot of time, because then I'm also listening to Joe Rogan, and that takes up a lot of my time too. So I don't, you know, so it's like Bigger Pockets, and I think just listening to those and listening to real stories from real people, and also just, you know, business books too. You know, business books like Never Split the Difference, and like I said, Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yep. Great. Those are all great titles, and I fully support them, because as I'm looking through my Audible, I'm similar to Marty in the sense that I just can't sit and read and drag through something. It's Audible's like clear eyes, dry eyes. Yeah. So I listen to a lot of my stuff. I have millions of pairs of headphones. So definitely I have those titles, so I support those. And I wanted to say that Never Split the Difference is by Chris Voss, and it is on Audible, and it's a great book on.
Yes.
And I've actually, my second time through a lot of these titles, because when you look at it, I mean, I'm still a rookie, but when you look at it through the eyes of a person on your job and a person that's really actively pursuing entrepreneurship and some type of business venture, real estate and everything else, the words are the same, but they mean different to you. In your education. So I'm actually going through a lot of these titles for the second and third time.
It's a good move. I'm doing the same. I'm listening to it again, because it, you know, there's so many nuggets, and there's so much there that it's like, you know, you kind of have to do it twice, maybe 3-4 times.
Yep. I'm like third or fourth through Rich Dad Poor Dad, and Cash Flow Quadrant. I'm on my second time through that. And I mean, as far as the negotiating and never split the difference and the art of no and those other titles, I'll probably always continue, because there's little tidbits of how you say this or how you respond to that that just changes the whole outlook of the negotiation.
Yeah.
I mean, because again, like you said, we're in marketing and we're in sales, but we're also in negotiating. I mean,
correct. Very much so.
Price. I mean, buy right, then you got a good deal. And
right.
That is extremely
That's
important.
It.
So this probably be my last time asking you a question. So again, I want to thank you for your time, bro. I really appreciate it.
So Marty, I have 2 questions before, I can pass it on to Earl. My first question is that, you said you was a family man. You've been, married for 5 years, right? If I'm not making a mistake. 3 years? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good. Yeah. So with that, right, how have you been able to balance your family life and work life?
Kivo kind of said it. You have to have a partner that is going to understand what you're doing. There isn't a balance. It's work. And, you have to schedule those times where you make it work with your wife, but my wife gets it. And you either get it or you don't. And that's it. I mean, you can't really it's got to be very tough. I can't imagine it must be very tough. I don't have kids either. So I don't understand how people can do it with kids. It'd be very, very tough. So I get it. But yeah, no, this is what's important right now, and it needs to be done. It needs to be done this way. And it's not like I'm never there, but what's nice is having this lockdown is that we can have breakfast and lunch and dinner together because I'm here and she's here. So she's not out of the office. But it's important to know, you got to make it work right now. This is the time to do it, that's it. You got to hustle, and this is the way to do it. And, hopefully you have somebody who gets it. It's tough, though. And I get it both ways, but you can't have it both ways. Right. So you got to my work comes really, she knows she's going back to nursing school. It's $70,000. I don't have a job. I have my career, I have my business, but I don't have that every 2 weeks money coming in. So this has got to get done.
Yeah, definitely. I've been listening to Kivo and Earl teaching me about marriage life. So I haven't gotten there yet. So once I do, I'm definitely going to understand a little bit. But my last question is that what are your five service providers? For us, we use a couple of service providers like Deal Machine, Driving for Dollars.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. So yeah. So Mojo is our dialer that we use. I use Yellow Letters I think it's yellowletters.com.
Yep.
Also Open Letter Marketing for letters. And we do batch leads for texting. And we do a lot of PPC, pay-per-click. You can see on my website, it's a Carrot website. And I have some unfair advantages there because I was in search engine optimization at CGI. So, those are the things that we do. And we spend a good amount of money on those things.
Yeah, man. We've been trying to scale our business. We've been trying a lot of tools, a lot of things that haven't been working. And every time it doesn't work, we try something else. So I think we have just been able to understand what we really want to use now. And it's probably just been helping us, So for that, I'm going to pass the last question to Earl.
Hey, thanks a lot. So Marty, I really don't have a question. I just really wanted to kind of thank you for your time. You told me you had a hard stop. I put your social media information up. Is there any other way people can reach out to you if they have questions or anything else that you might be able to kind of point them in the right space?
585-402-2985. 585-402-2985. So you can call me or text me, and I'd be happy to, here's the deal. I give that out. A lot of people on Bigger Pockets, a lot of people, blah, blah, blah. No one calls because they're like, well, how do I get into blah, blah, blah? And it's like, you don't call. If you're real, you'll call. If you got real stuff going on. So I always give it out. Don't matter. Call me.
Absolutely. And did you share with our audience what you're working on as we close up? Anything you want to promote and tell other people about?
If you do have a deal that there's no equity, give me a call. Those are cool. I'd like to work on some more sub twos, and that's really about it. I really like to get more into those. And if they're looking for too much, I'd look at those too, because that could be a good deal for seller financing. And I'd be happy to walk anybody through like their first one. We could partner up on it. Doesn't matter to me. I'm open to a lot of things. Doesn't bother me. Everybody can win here.
Absolutely. I know we're closing up, but you just said reminded me of another title that I read called The Go Giver. So obviously Marty's a giver here because he has the abundance mindset like we all should have. There's enough for everybody.
There's enough for everybody. It's a beautiful thing. You got to have that. You got to know that it all comes back. Do good for, you do the good things even when it doesn't necessarily put money in your pocket. But, I'm just grateful every day for health and my family's health and, shelter and clean water, because a lot of people don't have those things, and food in my fridge. So it's just like, whatever, man, whatever you want, give me a call. I'll try to help you. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. It was a great time. I got to run. My partner's calling me, but I'd be happy to come back on anytime. So you guys are the best, man. Appreciate you guys doing what you're doing. This is awesome.
Thanks a lot, Marty. Thanks a lot.
Absolutely. See you guys.
Appreciate you.
All right. So you too, Facebook, we're out of here. Another episode in the books. If we can, empower anything to you, it's just to keep grinding, keep moving forward. You're going to make mistakes, but you heard what Marty said. That's part of the game. All right. So with that said, we are Real Housing Relief, revitalizing the community, one property at a time. Peace out, everybody. All right, brothers. Take care.